Hi, and welcome back to Rick's Room. Now, today I have an old friend, a dear friend with me. I met him in the indie film world, if you can believe that, but he's actually one of the most gifted computer programmers that I know. Dave Grundgeiger is with us today. He's the founder of Contextium. Dave, it's good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me, Rick. It's good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, so we were together in Madison for years, and then you went to Hollywood. Your daughter is in the business out there, and you work from out there now with companies all around. But today, I want to catch up with you and find out what's going on with your pet project because you're working in an area that I find really interesting, but that I'm not sure. Well, I know I'm don't fully understand it, but I don't think many of the people I know understand it either. So tell me at a high level what you're working on.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's in the field of what people would call AI, but it's not like the AI you've been hearing about in the news with large language models and things like that. That has rightfully exploded and gotten very popular. But there are other ways to approach what we call natural language understanding. In other words, having conversations with these machines. Yeah, I am using a kind of a collection of what some would consider older school approaches to this problem space that I think dovetail perfectly with the machine learning approach to the problem space. Without geeking out or getting too technical, so what the large language models do is they use certain what they call learning algorithms to sort of kind of statistically understand what to say next in a conversation. And what's lost there is sort of any modeling of meaning and really understanding deep relationships in the language. And so I'm bringing in certain techniques to sort of programmatically find those deep relationships in a deterministic way. It doesn't use machine learning directly. And so what that does is that lets us hopefully model meaning better, have conversations that seem like the computer may understand more about what you're saying, and particularly in combination with machine learning things, these things build on each other. One of the applications that recently came to mind is to try to use this technology to identify hallucinations in machine learning. I don't know how much
Oh,
folks are
yeah, yeah,
familiar with
yeah,
that. Yeah. So that
yeah,
is still an issue. Like as
yeah.
an industry, we sort of gloss over that, because it works most of the time. But the problems then are what about the times that it does hallucinate? Machine learning, because like if you're in a legal space or a medical space or things like that, you
Financial
don't ever want
services.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what I'm bringing to the table, among other things, is a way to sort of vet what the machine learning, the large language model is saying, and compare that against databases of well-known things to make sure that they're not saying things that conflict with that. And there's a whole lot more to that, but that's probably the best sort of introduction.
Well, thank you for being gentle
Yeah,
on my brain. But
yeah,
but Dave, we're seeing a whole lot of people now. They're jumping on the AI bandwagon. They're getting into this vibe coding, which personally I find fascinating. But this isn't an overnight thing for you, is it? I know your story, but share a little bit about how you got started because you've been doing this for
well,
ever, right?
since my teen years. I've been trying to figure out how to have a conversation with computers, since very early on. And yeah, so yeah, I've had a long-standing interest. I've been very interested in the recent developments for large language models and things like that. I'm a software developer. I use LLMs every day in my work. I have a window open to all the time to Claude.ai, which is one of the large language
Yep.
models. People are probably more familiar with the name ChatGPT. It is like that. And so I constantly have that window open. I say, how would you do this? And I need to write a function that does XYZ in C# and just give me that boilerplate, and then I copy that over, adjust it how I need, and then also looking for hallucinations and stuff like that. I
Sure.
try to think about LLMs as I try to talk to LLMs in the same way that I talk to smart interns. So I if I find that I lay out the problem in the same sort of language, and then I treat the result in the same way, which means I know they're smart, but I'm definitely going to check this and make sure that it does what they say it does. That works very well with the LLMs.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Dave, that's working really well in a lot of other industries too. I do
Yeah,
PR, as you know, we do a lot of writing, but we
yeah,
lean on AI a lot to make sure we
yeah.
don't miss something or to
Oh yeah,
help us with research. Yeah, yeah. So,
yeah, yeah. And the AI is great at putting the bones of something together,
right,
and then you add the creativity.
right, right,
Yeah,
exactly. So,
yeah.
speaking of creativity, I want to ask you, how does being a computer programmer, which I think of as very logical and, go to this, go to that, and your love of other types of art, like indie filmmaking, how does that come together in your world?
Well, in my mind, programming is a very creative thing. I've never like you watch TV programs and that talk about like AIs and things like that. They're always or often presented as just very logical. They can't handle deviations. They can't handle abstraction, or they can't handle things meaning multiple things at once. But nothing could be further from the truth. In programming, it's just all about figuring out how to model something. So that's a very creative activity to say, hey, I have this real world thing that I would like to be able to deal with programmatically for whatever reason. How do I model that thing, and then how do I have the software interact with the model? And that's a very creative thing. Another thing I like to say, just to just to add to that, is that I think of programming as really kind of the same as writing magical incantations. I put this string of words together, like very large strings of words, and then a physical object, the computer, carries out my intent. Like what is not magical about that?
You're a wizard, Dave. You're a wizard.
I'm a wizard. So
I love it. I
who
love it.
wouldn't want to do that? When I was younger, when I was like 20 or something like that, I seriously thought that everybody would would want to write software if they could, like if they had the opportunities and the training and so on. I had to recognize that there are other forms of creativity that some people may prefer. Weird.
Well, maybe weird, maybe wonderful. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
it's the latter,
that's true.
probably. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so.
So when you look forward into what your vision is for your company, looking into the future at Contextium as it's built out the way you want, what will it be? What are you building?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two facets that dovetail together. For me personally, I'm just crazy interested in the idea of mind and consciousness, which are real things. Like we have minds and we are conscious, and so I'm just one of these people who just likes to think about that area of knowledge, just because I find it naturally interesting. Um, so when you talk about building a business, I'm trying to support my interest in that thing, as I just said, through in our society, we need to do things that other people find valuable, so that we can pay our rent and buy computers to work on. And so the business is all about supporting that sort of inquiry that I just find naturally interesting. I think the hallucination detection is very good. I think that's a strong opportunity there, because we are using these systems to support ourselves in making just vast decisions and doing things. And that's one of the great things about AI today, is that it's not about like AI taking over. We shouldn't allow that. But what we should allow is the magnification of human creativity, and say it's not about what computers can do, it's about what humans can do that we couldn't do before, because we have tools that we didn't have before. And so I want to be part of that. When you talk about making a business, I want to be part of that. It's just about how can we enable ourselves and all of us to do things that we couldn't do before.
I've been hearing rumors from people that we're using these large language models incorrectly. They're not a glorified search tool. They can
Mm,
be more than that. They can be a companion. But if you do what you've told me you want to do, they can be even more than that. So I can't
yeah,
wait to see. I can't wait to see. And that's why I keep bugging you about how things are going, Dave, because I'm just
yeah,
really interested in
I appreciate that.
where you might be able to take us.
Yeah, I think the thing where we need to get to is like I don't know what kind of words to use, but like there's like in our conversation here, there's like a spark. There's an awareness that there's a Rick there and there's a Dave here, and so I want to figure out if I want to see if we can figure out how to get that spark in our conversations with computers. I don't think it's there. I don't think they're conscious, but I think that can happen because it happens in this group of atoms. And if it can happen in this group of atoms, then I believe it can happen in other groups of atoms.
We've been visiting with Dave Grundgeiger. He's the founder of Contextium and a good friend. Dave, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Rick.